Welcome to the She Births Show, a place to inspire your birth, evolve your parenting, and help you live a life you love. I'm Nadine Richardson, your host and creator of the scientifically verified birth education program, She Births. I'm also a mother, yoga teacher, doula, author, and speaker. At She Births, we have supported thousands of families around the world for over 13 years with our unique program, and our vision is to make birth better for every family around the world so that everyone experiences a beautiful birth no matter what unfolds. Not only do we help people have beautiful births, but we also give them the skills and the philosophy to enjoy pregnancy and make parenting easier. As well as our world-class birth ed, taken either face-to-face or online, in our app, we also have a free pregnancy guide designed to help you feel calm, connected, and inspired as you and your baby grow. We have a doula matching service, the perfect way to ensure you and your partner are completely supported throughout the whole journey. And we have our Soul Mama Circles, which are the perfect postpartum network to help optimize your mindset and design your life in parenthood. Remember, if you like what you hear today, subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. If you're a parent, about to be one, fellow health professional, join us now for an inspirational deep dive into topics with experts around the globe. We hope you enjoy this special episode. In my soon-to-be published book, I am writing a lot about how screens and stories are creating subconscious wiring and belief systems about birth and motherhood. And through exposure, we are all continually absorbing a culture, a set of beliefs. And culture will eat any birth plan for breakfast, no matter how good it looks on paper. In other words, if you don't take charge of what culture and the narrative is doing inside your brain and body, you will not get the birth you truly want. Ruby Challenger is also on fire about this, and it was a spark ignited at her She Births course many years ago, and now blazing through her work as a filmmaker. Ruby's short film, MumLife, screened in official competition at the 2022 La Cinef section at Cannes Film Festival. 5 weeks earlier, she had given birth to her second baby. So she packed up her family of 4 and took them to the festival. I absolutely love MumLife. It is a 15-minute musical about postnatal anxiety and is now enjoying an international festival run. Ruby completed her master's at the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. She wrote her thesis on motherhood and the cinema, looking at mothers in front and behind of the screen, which is being released on Instagram to further the discussion about mums in film. Ruby's actually been on film sets since she was born. Legend has it, her first trip after the hospital was a film set to visit her dad. So today, alongside her award-winning musical MumLife, we talk about her advocacy work with families that will fill you with passion and purpose, so that together we're all working to make the places that we go more inclusive and family-friendly. In our podcast, we discuss media and the common birth parenting culture, plus look at what it's really like to be a studying or working mum in one of the most intense and male-led industries, film. As Ruby says, it's important that we change these narratives. Most of the women that you see on film and TV or any media who are mothers are not going to be a protagonist. Don't miss the latest inspiration in this on-fire conversation I hope you enjoy with Ruby Challenger. Don't forget to follow the links in the podcast notes as well to watch her amazing trailers and follow her advocacy work. And we would love for you to send us a review of the She Births podcast. Let us know if you are enjoying it. Ruby Challenger, welcome to the She Births Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Nadine. I'm really excited to chat to you.
It's so good to see you down there in Bondi. Feels like a universe away.
Yeah.
Oh, did I just hear a baby in the background?
Yep, she's having a loud scream. Sorry, guys.
No, it's like a little squeak. You don't hear a loud scream.
Good. Oh,
You
good.
let us know if you need to go or juggle anything.
I've got my lovely babysitter here today because you need people to help hold the baby, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You do, to get life done, to get mum life done. And that's what you're sort of giving your time to, apart from like living the mum life juggle of a creative and a film director and a mother of two. You're also now campaigning for mums in film. What does that mean? Hashtag mums in film.
Hashtag mums in film came about kind of accidentally, just by me being loud as I am. And I was making this film called MumLife. And so it just kind of came out naturally that I'd just start hashtagging mums in film. And I can go into, in detail later, but basically I ended up writing my thesis at the end of school about mothers in film and realizing how passionate I am. So I'm now releasing it on my Instagram as this, train of thought about how do we encourage women who choose to become mothers to stay in the film industry? How can we support them? What sacrifices are they making? What difficulties do they face?
Yeah. And as someone who I've worked in film before I was a mum, and I do think that part of my leaving film was the realization of how incredibly intense it was when it was on. It was just so intense. Those massive days on set were so exhausting and so depleting. And the lack of rhythm and routine in going on set and off set and then job breaks and then all in, and they're big sacrifices to be a part of the film world, absolutely, being a mum. So I had a taster of it.
And that kind of potentially, if you want it to be a segue into the next, one of the things that we can talk about, which is fertility. Yeah. I was working 16, 20-hour days regularly. I know it's legit. That's what they were on art departments. There is now a very big discussion around appropriate work hours. That's going to take a long time to filter down into the average person's day. But I was doing these crazy days. Eli was a chef and we were infertile. So I did several years doing that, and we finally just kind of called it and went, you know what? Let's take a break on my art department career. Doesn't have a future that I could see myself in anyway, even though it was completely addictive, completely exciting, so thrilling to work in the film industry, but so exhausting. And maybe it was part of why I wasn't getting pregnant. I don't actually.
I mean, chefing is exhausting too, right?
Yeah, he was there 16 hours a day. We never saw each other. And so.
Wow.
But we were also doing fertility treatments, and, several years into that, we just went, this is stupid. Let's just try and change up again.
And what did you do? So, I mean, we met how many years ago before you had Scout? I met your dad.
Yes.
And stepmom. They did private yoga with me.
They had their first baby 13 years ago. So that was when you met them.
Georgie was doing prenatal yoga with me. Yeah.
And I've known of you for many years because, as you say, you were a Bondi, mainstay where everybody knew Nadine at North Bondi and Dharmashala. So very important. And I've been in Bondi since I was born. So, no, you're famous in Bondi.
Famous in Bondi.
But so the fertility, we started trying to get pregnant at 27.
Wow.
We were so excited. We're like, let's be young parents. We're going to be so groovy. It's going to be amazing. We want lots of babies. On our very, very first date, Eli, I wouldn't even call it a date. We went for a drink and Eli was like, can we have 6 babies? And I was like, 24 and going, no, that sounds horrible. And now I'm like, I want all the babies now. I love them. So now I'm like minimum 4, definitely.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. But we were 27, you'd been on the pill for a long time and all of those, take the morning after pill forever and those things that we do, and, have sex on my 27th birthday and like, walking down the street, pretty much pregnant, guys. Like, I'm going to totally be having a baby right now. And wasn't. And then wasn't for a really long time. And I think we did a year trying naturally on our own. And then we engaged the services at the Royal Hospital for Women in Randwick in Sydney. They had a bulk build fertility centre. Yeah. And they were beautiful and amazing. And, you know, I don't blink twice at the thought of an internal ultrasound. It's as, you know, and because I did so many.
Wow.
People kind of, if you squirm at the idea of one, try, you know, several a month for years, you know, you get very comfortable with the nurses. And blood tests and invasive tests, laparoscopies, what's the flushing of the tubes that can't remember what that's called. That one, you know, where it was so painful. So all of that, we did that for years. You got in the public system, we had to kind of start at the bottom. So we did something called Clomid, which is a tablet that you take every however often to stimulate a cycle. In case I wasn't getting a cycle, that didn't work. Then you move on to IUI, which is the step before IVF. So you're still doing all the injections. They are still taking the sperm and spinning it and getting the good sperm, but it's the turkey baster option. So they're not actually putting the egg and the sperm together in that sense. And then we ran out of options because that hospital didn't have IVF. They were campaigning really, really hard to get an IVF clinic there, Medicare. But 4 years ago, that wasn't an option. So we kind of didn't know what to do because we couldn't afford IVF. And the idea of it made me feel quite nauseous because I couldn't bear the idea of getting in the whole 10 grand. It was stressful enough just being infertile, you know. Yeah. I know everybody's got their own journey, but this is mine. And I found that I couldn't kind of face that. And then my mum's GP, randomly, she found a Medicare bulk build IVF in the city. At the time, it was called Primary IVF. It's now called Adora Fertility, and they were amazing. And we did it fully bulk build, except for the anaesthetist and the storage of the eggs, which we pay for every year now. Yeah. So that was incredible. And we were so lucky because the first transfer worked.
Wow.
And I don't know, you know, but they you know, did all their tests as well, you know, another round of tests. And they just said, you are the part of the 5% unexplained infertility.
Yeah.
We don't have an answer. We don't know why we're infertile. But we have needed IVF for both our babies. So we had that classic story that everybody gets of, don't worry, you'll have your first one and you'll just get accidentally pregnant with your second one. And you're like, that's a nice idea, but it may not be our story, guys, you know. And so I'm pretty good at dealing with disappointment in that sense. We all have our own coping mechanisms, but I, you know, just kind of, until something was happening, it wasn't happening, you know. So I tried to not get too excited every month because the fall is too big, you know. So you just, for me, it was just about getting on with it. But so then we tried again naturally for the second one, didn't happen, and we went back and harvested some more eggs so that I have some more younger eggs because I am now. You know, you go from being 27 and then kind of going, oh, don't worry, there's no rush, you're so young. And then suddenly you're having a geriatric pregnancy.
It's horrible. It's so gross. I just give us a break, for Christ's sake. Labeling and judging. And, you know, when you're not geriatric, you're like, yes, everything will be fine. The moment you are geriatric, it's like, everything could go wrong. It's just so intense. The birth date change. People who turn 35 midway through a pregnancy, you know, and 5 years ago it used to be turn 40 and that was geriatric. It's just so labelly.
I was geriatric for the second pregnancy, halfway through the second pregnancy.
Oh, were you?
No, just at the end of the second pregnancy. She's in April and my birthday's in March. So there you go.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big ride. And you shared a lot. And I would really encourage people that might be going through fertility challenges or wanting to know more, to go through your Instagram.
Because I'll just jump in because that's on my old Instagram, which is still there, but it's all still there, which is at Ruby_Challenger.
Yeah. Yeah. So your old Instagram.
In a stories highlight, right at the end of the stories highlight, it says IVF.
Got it.
And what I realized was we had our own business at the time, and I didn't owe anybody anything, and I could just publicly talk about IVF if I wanted to. And so I felt like I should, because as a storyteller, I felt like it was a responsibility to be public. And I had a lot of people message me privately saying, wow, thank you for talking about something I can't talk about publicly, but I feel less alone. So I really enjoyed being able to be a part of that. And it was interesting because I hadn't done it for a very long period of our infertility. It didn't really occur to me. And then suddenly I did it for the first one, and then we got pregnant. And I actually felt really ashamed for quite a while and really sad, mixed complex emotions about getting pregnant with the first try, because it's that thing where you want to yell out and go, no, it's been 5 years, guys. Like, it's actually, and I am saying that, and I don't owe anybody anything in that sense, but I felt really embarrassed. I mean, how weird is that,
Wow. So complex. And it's so important to acknowledge, I think, shame sits with so many funny and strange experiences of our lives, and as women, as mothers, I'm sure as partners, as fathers too. So when you were pregnant, how did you feel about giving birth? Like, what was your sort of expectation of giving birth? What were you hoping for?
I go into a lot of things with like, not low expectations, but just minimal. So kind of nothing really. I hadn't thought about it. I was just kind of getting through the morning sickness, which lasted the whole pregnancy. Oh. And it wasn't until a close friend of mine mailed me a copy of Ina May's Guide to Childbirth.
Yeah.
So
Guide to Childbirth. So she posted it to you.
And that was amazing. And I am just not the kind of person who reads. I wish I was, but I also kind of don't care, because I'm not. All the childbirth books about like, and today it's growing fingernails and all of that. I just wasn't interested for some reason for me.
Me either.
Okay. And again, that was something I felt a bit of shame about. Like, should I be interested in all of this stuff? And I should know how to talk to my baby. And that's something I can talk to next, which is like, I am not someone who was a mother from the second I was pregnant. I think that narrative is very true for a lot of women, but it can also shame women who don't feel like that. And I was one of those people. And so I just kind of enjoyed my body getting bigger, and we took a beautiful series. My close friend of mine, Diab Metri, took a beautiful series of photos of me every month, where as the belly grew, all these flowers kind of kept growing on my head and my hair, and I ended up with this giant flower crown and whatever. But so I kind of enjoyed that stuff. I loved wearing the belly. I felt so special wearing my belly, but I didn't, in the private moments, I didn't really know how to talk to it. And I haven't been around kids. I'm an only child. Don't have a lot of kids in my life, which is a story for a lot of people, I believe, these days. So I just wasn't comfortable with that. But then I got this guide to childbirth, which just turned up at the right time. It was that thing of just kind of go, oh, great, this is exactly what I needed. And I read the opening chapters, which are like lots of stories, firsthand stories about women giving birth. And that was enough. That was all I needed for me in that sense, because I'm someone who listens to a lot of stories and then knows that somewhere in those vast array of experiences will be where I sit. And I do that for everything. So I love that. I kind of love knowing that there's going to be this range of potential experiences. Yeah. Then, being a Bondi girl, I signed up for She Births, as you do, because that's what everybody does. So I didn't even think twice about it. It wasn't like I didn't know where it sat in the history of anything, or why we do it, or what it means. Hilarious. I just knew that you sign up for She Births, you're sign up, right? And having a baby, right? So of course we turn up, and there's all these beautiful other people that we meet while we're there. And I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad I'm here. There's a whole lot of stuff I don't know about what's about to come, And also, your body is also going to do its thing anyway, to some extent. But that was amazing and opened my eyes. There was a combination of the Ina May and coming to you that contextualized why what you do and what people like you do are so important to the modern birthing woman. Because, we kind of, I think, I say we, I'm sure, I don't know what everybody else's knowledge is, but I kind of come in going, of course I'm going to have the electric candles or the nice music or my husband there if I want. I don't question that because I don't have to, because I now live in a world where that is assumed.
Yeah.
So again, part of reading the stories and coming to you that was so important for me was learning why it's so important that we're advocating for these things. And this is what all your listeners will be very familiar with, but just to say it again from my point of view is I found it really eye-opening to go, oh, okay, so yeah, that story in the book when she has to give birth on her back strapped to a bed, they just strap her to a bed in a cold New York hospital and walk away for 30 hours until the baby's coming out. Wow. Oh, that's why we do why this is important. And so that was just revolutionary to me to really and this is why it's so important for us to read history, isn't it?
Yeah, the stories, the history, the context is so critical.
Yeah.
Because it runs through us anyway. We are the eggs that were inside our mothers, inside our grandmothers, and we felt all the things that they felt. Like, I'm sure that my grandmother was traumatized during childbirth. She had not a single piece of maternal instinct in her body by the time I met her. She was petrifying, and she just sent all her daughters, 5 daughters, off to boarding school at the age of 5 to be raised by nuns, And then my mum had this horrific birth experience. That's in me, and that is part of what riles me up so greatly to do what I do. But, it takes time to understand what we're motivated by, how we're healing. This is epigenetics. It doesn't start here. It started generations back, and we're healing now for generations forward. So it is. We don't exist without history and context. It's impossible, right? So
important. And so I'm just eternally grateful for that combination of my friend sending me that book and coming to She Births for that. And interestingly, fun fact is that something that you said at the She Births, on the She Births weekend, is kind of responsible for everything that I'm doing now. And that I couldn't be more grateful for. So thank you, Nadine, for what you said. I'll say it, which is that you do this part in the weekend where you talk about perceptions of birth as well and our media. Yes. And how important that is. And so you talked about that our standard approach, and sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, this is several years ago now that I took I've changed it completely. But basically you're saying, almost all film representations of childbirth are like emergency. They happen in 5 minutes. There's usually blood. There's a lot of doctors. And it happens very fast, very painful. Everybody's screaming. Everybody's very upset. And then there's a baby. That just sat and just bubbled away until I got to film school. And it is now my fire that It's important that we change these narratives.
That's right.
They don't have to be the narrative. We can find drama elsewhere.
Yes, that's it. We can. That's a really important line, like you just said there. And I'm so glad that it landed because, so much of what I think the profundity of She Births and why people say, it changed my life, years on, I bump into people up here who had kids with me 15 years ago. It's like, it's so much more than a birth course because we are talking about context. We are talking about a movement. We are talking about claiming our power as women, as mothers, as fathers. Stop fucking characterizing us, in film, in media, because media, as we know, gets more and more powerful every day. We are hypnotized when we watch these screens, and this is creating the narrative, which is creating the subconscious wiring. This is culture, and culture will eat your birth plan for breakfast if you don't take charge of what culture and narrative is doing inside your brain.
Absolutely.
And now for a quick break. At She Births, we believe that pregnancy, birth, and matrescence, the sacred postpartum, is an awesome rite of passage. Our free holistic pregnancy guide offers you 6 months of weekly support. Drop straight into your inbox or within our free She Births app, you can get content that will nourish your body, mind, and soul. You can enjoy prenatal yoga videos, great recipes, birth affirmations, course discounts, and more. From me and my team, the creator of the world's only scientifically verified antenatal classes, it is our gift to you. Sign up today and receive the free holistic pregnancy guide at shebirths.com/PG. That's shebirths.com/PG. And that's what you're doing, I think, for motherhood now. And so I'm so glad that the seed was planted and it like bubbles away and the fire is lit and you're doing the motherhood juggle thing.
It's thrilling because then you take what you said and you run it through someone who is deeply enmeshed in story, which is what I'm doing, and go, okay, well, what does this mean? What does stop characterizing us mean? Okay, well, actually what that means when I study it, which I did, and I've now, I'm just going to keep going deeper on this study, but basically most of the women that you see on film and TV and any media who are mothers are not going to be a protagonist. Protagonist means the lead character, our hero, the person who we're riding with, however you want to say that. So inherently in film, you have already othered us and stereotyped us. Yeah. We are a dressing to a set.
Yeah, right.
Or if we are, and we become a victim. So making it...
yes, this is so annoying.
Yes, we are victimized and we become, there's these like, from the 90s, someone wrote about these 4 stereotypes of mother, the mother. It's like the good mother, the bad mother, the like self-centered mother, and they're kind of these 4 really average, so one of them's the hero who's going to sacrifice her life for her family. The amount of women that you see die or not even begin in the film because they're already dead and they are already, the reason for the man to go on. Now, yes, the caveat is there are always exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying every single woman isn't the protagonist, but I'm talking about women who've had the children and are on screen as the protagonist. It's very rare.
Yeah.
It is changing now. There are some wonderful shows like Maid, like Working Mums. It is slowly changing, but it is something to really watch out for. So the thing that I've started talking about in my mini TED Talk style thing that I did at a women's dinner the other night was look out for who is your protagonist, because that tells you a lot about the film you're watching. And make sure that if you think it's a woman's story and you're going to listen to it, make sure she's the protagonist. And that means it's her story. It's nobody else's story. Yeah. And that's the most important thing, firstly.
And it has some complexity to her rather than the reductionist into these 4 sort of prototypes. And this prototype of the good mother that you say is like, well, she's a good mother because she sacrifices, you know, and if she's a bad mom, it's because she's not doing what we think, some sort of standard. And then the narcissistic, selfish one, it's all just madness. And the fathers as well always portrayed. I've sort of lent more into looking at birth, but the fathers are always portrayed and the partners as overwhelmed, incompetent, useless, fainting, falling apart. Again, they're made victims of the whole process as well.
Absolutely. And my husband won't buy from children's companies that say things in their Instagram posts or ads like, even dad can use this. He won't buy them. He's like, no, I'm not an idiot.
Not giving them my money.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
About
there was one more thing I wanted to say, and around the way mothers are portrayed. And I think, we do talk a lot in She Births about the way birth is portrayed as a medicalized traumatic event in the absolute majority of birth scenes, TV series and mainstream feature films and so on. But I think as well, I do find it hard to see the way women are now being portrayed as modern mothers. And I think this is where your film is really, really interesting. So I don't want to like poo-poo the sort of the growth that we're seeing right now in portrayal, the expansion of different portrayals, because working mums is fascinating. It shows some complexity. The letdown is way better than what we've had before, but I do still feel like give us some hope here. Like they're still in a state of overwhelm and distress, and they're never really growing into resourcefulness, and they're not getting doubled. Like, why are these women? Where's her friend in the letdown? Like, where is her goddamn sisterhood? And so that's what I really, really loved about MumLife. In your 15 minutes, somehow through not a huge amount of dialogue, actually, a lot of inner noise, a lot of inner voice work, as well as interaction, as well as music. I cannot believe that it's a musical. I cannot believe you directed a musical. The moment it kicks into that first song, I literally have so much joy. It's so joyous, but you show a lot of depth and a lot of complexity and character development in 15 minutes. So really hats off to you. It really is heartwarming, mind expanding, and I want everybody to see it because it blew my mind.
Thank you. I think that I don't know. Sorry, I'll give it this. Okay. Sorry, that was can we give the baby water? I'm like, I don't know. She's 6 months old.
Yeah, she can have some bit of water.
She can have some water.
Yeah, she's got solids for sure.
Yeah, all good with me. I really appreciate you saying that. And I think it's a really important part of the conversation for me. Again, with this just new generation, we're always building. It's great not to rag on the past, but again, shows like The Letdown for me, exactly as you're saying, I was like, I watched it because it was like, oh, you got to watch The Letdown. I had a 3-month-old baby. And I just was like, I can't watch this. Like that, this is not me. I am complex. And it felt very distressed, under-resourced, and felt like a narrative maybe from, slightly a generation older than me that wanted maybe to be at work. And so everything always is kind of like in comparison to, but I'm not who I was.
Yes, that's it.
I'll read out something that someone texted me on Instagram the other day, just because it worded it so well for me.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what I think you've nailed about MumLife and what I was trying to do, which is because I put up a call out on my Instagram, or somebody else did. They said, what parts of motherhood would you love to see on screen? Our lovely Rosie Ricketson actually put that up. And somebody messaged me and said, I want to see both the change in identity, but also joy. I feel like kids are often used as the butt of a joke, but about how bad having kids is. I also feel like the change of identity is always framed as a bad thing, like you're no longer yourself, like you lose yourself, as opposed to learning new sides of yourself. And that was exactly how I felt when I went into MumLife. I was like, and that is what this song, Silver Linings, which is the opening song,
which is now nominated for an APRA.
Against Missy Higgins and some other incredible people. I just can't believe we're in the same
alongside Missy
category.
Higgins.
Sorry, against, yes, alongside.
It's cool, very cool.
And I just can't believe it because there's also the student section, but we got picked up for this section, which was just insane.
Awesome.
But Silver Linings is that opening song, and it's exactly meant to show that, which was I felt like I went through those emotions 1,000 times a day. I'd get stressed. I hadn't replied to emails and I wanted to kind of still be working, but then I'd just be in the most glowing, blissful bubble. And then I would be not knowing how to push the pram into a shop because I was so embarrassed. And I thought everybody would be knowing that I didn't know how to push a pram because I'd never pushed one before. Like the gamut of emotions I was just running through every day. And so Silver Linings is this opening song where she's at a mother's group and all the mothers are kind of saying, it's really hard. Like, I don't know how to get the baby to sleep. So I've pushed the baby to the pub for the white noise, or I forgot I took a meeting and I forgot about bath time.
I love that line. I took a meeting and I forgot about bath time. Oh, well.
Yeah. Sophia will kill me when she hears this. I'm paraphrasing the lines for the discussion purpose. They're much more beautiful in the song, but that's the gist of the song. And then the chorus is the silver linings in the clouds. We see the silver linings when it's hard, right? And then the end of that song, it's our hero all alone, and she says, the silver linings are so far from me, I can't see them, and it's really hard. So in that moment, she's struggling. And it's that balance. And I wanted to strike that balance of emotion. In the end, what it means is it's a film where the antagonist is not a person. The antagonist is anxiety itself. And I think we just pull it off with a short film. And I think with a feature film, it would be much harder because our films are structured around having human antagonists that we butt up against.
Yeah, right.
And to maintain that for a feature film is technically quite difficult. So, there's a lot of challenges into changing towards a feminine narrative. And that's that discussion about the hero's journey and the heroine's journey. And they are really different. And we aren't used to seeing the feminine journey on screen because it's very internal. And basically, you could have a whole film of someone sitting there smiling and on the inside just going through like 1,000 emotions. But how do you show that? That's a book, So we have to work within our medium, within the medium of film. It's quite difficult. And so I think that's what I want to say is that I'm just engaging in a discussion around how do I engage with this medium to still do a female journey?
Yeah. Where did the idea come to create a musical, to have dance sequences in it? Like, what was the impetus for that?
So I would love to say that we had this beautiful academic reasoning and,
You have to have an academic reasoning.
Well, that's what you do at school. You have to sell it.
Oh, of course, yes. At afters, it's very important.
Yes. And even in interviews, people, it's like, why? And you kind of go, because I was at film school and I met the composer, and we both decided we loved musicals, and that was where we started. So the film started as a musical with nothing. It wasn't about anything.
Oh, wow.
Just a musical. We knew we wanted to do a musical because at film school we had all these resources that we wouldn't have in the real world. And so we thought that was a great opportunity. And then we just had to kind of start throwing ideas out there. And I was like, it's going to be about influences. It'll be Influence of the musical. That'll be hilarious. It'll be about warring influences. And they'd sing at each other or something. I don't know. It just made me laugh. And it got deeper and deeper. And eventually a lot of that got stripped away. And it ended up being about a woman with a newborn having a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. So that's kind of why it's musical. And musical ended up being the perfect medium for a female story because you can go into someone's inner world and they haven't changed on the outside.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And now for a quick break. Contrary to popular culture, She Births believes that childbirth can be the best day of your life. It is designed perfectly to be empowering, enriching and bonding, an awesome rite of passage. Our childbirth education programs have helped thousands of families around the world since 2008, allowing families to not only feel empowered through education, but also connect with their innate birthing wisdom to create the best birth possible and begin their parenting journey with confidence. She Birth's unique methodology was scrutinised in university trials and has been published in the British Medical Journal for improving birth outcomes for both mother and child. I'd like to invite you to begin preparing for birth today. Just go to shebirths.com to discover our 2-day weekend face-to-face courses or access the online courses from anywhere around the world. That's shebirths.com. Create your beautiful birth with the world's only scientifically verified antenatal classes. So your journey to afters, I think, can you share a little bit like how you ended up at afters? Afters is incredibly hard to get into, extremely competitive and selective. And you did the directing program, but you've had a bit of a journey. Can you share a little bit of that? Because that's going to make me feel better about how my son keeps changing ideas around what he wants to do at uni.
Absolutely.
He's in the art department right now. This week he's at SBS art department. And I'm like, good, Leroy, that's a good step up from running. And, come on, keep going. And, come on, we got to get you a degree. There's still this part of me that's like, you must get a degree. Maybe he doesn't need to get a degree. I don't know anymore for this world. I have no idea. But I'm like,
I don't know about degrees. I don't know anymore. I've spent a lot of time doing degrees. I don't think that piece of paper has helped me at all in my life yet. But the things I learned are invaluable. There you go. It's a bit of both. And I also learned invaluable things on art departments.
Yes.
So where did I start? My journey to afters starts a few days after I'm born. My dad is a filmmaker and he was in the middle of a film shoot. Sorry, Dad, when I was born. And so we were living in Melbourne for that job.
That is the deep drumming, pioneering voice that you now have now, is because you interrupted your birth, the actual film production, it's epic. Parenthood and film work actually merging and colliding and maybe clashing. Who knows? I don't know what their story was, but that's really, really interesting.
So the story goes that my very first trip out of the hospital was, apart from to home, was to a film set. So been on film sets since I was born, and always wanted to act. And my dad, being in film, said, please don't act because it's really hard. And you're not going to be in control of your life because you're just waiting for someone to choose you. For God's sake, please do something else. So I was really upset about that for years, and kind of kept trying to act, but never really had the confidence in myself to really go there. And I did my first stint on art department was in year 10 when I did work experience, and I was on All Saints, and I got a day with each department. And on the day 5, I got to go back to the department I liked the most. And of course, now I look back on it, it was art department. And so that's hilarious. So then I went looking to get back into film when I was 19, and I started an art department, and that was wonderful and so thrilling and so hands-on. And it's a real apprenticeship. You can really apprenticeship in the art department in a way that a lot of jobs don't let you apprenticeship anymore, So you can work your way up and learn the skills just by doing. And I did that a lot. And at the same time, went in and out of university several times. I went straight from high school to UTS to do the fashion degree there, which you needed to get like a really stupidly high mark to get into, which didn't make any sense to me at the time. I was like, and so there was just filled with people who shouldn't really have been there, and they knew they were going to drop out. And they said to us on day 1, there's 90 of you here. When you graduate, there'll be 14.
What?
I was like, you're taking in too many people then. Like, that's nuts. And there was. They had it right. So I started that, and then was too young and discovered, sex and drugs and partying and working for fashion companies after, in my own time. So I was working for them and partying and doing all this fun stuff. So I dropped out and then went back, and then went on my overseas trip with my friend who'd finally had finished school, and then dropped out of fashion school again and started a BA with a film theory major at Sydney Uni, and then dropped out again to get married. I didn't quit completely, but I paused it for a year. And then came back and finished that and got back into art department, but kind of knew that I wanted to direct, but I'd say a lot of people on film sets want to direct. So it's about if you actually make that leap.
Yeah.
And interestingly, just having that kind of nutty energy that I have sometimes. I finished a job and pulled a whole lot of people from that job and said, I'm going to shoot something in 3 months. That's just what's happening.
Wow.
And we shot my first film with a huge, beautiful team. It was a World War II film set in a prison camp based on my grandmother's story, but a tiny part of that. And I want to make her film one day and honour her. And that's called Daily Bread, and had 30 Dutch women and children and Japanese soldiers and a cat. And it was, set in a prison camp.
Wow.
And that was amazing. And then around that time decided to pull back from art department and really step back because of the fertility, which we've already mentioned. So, there's always so many things going on at the same time. I never thought I'd be someone who got married, but I met my husband at 24, and I look back on it now, I'm like, whoa, that is much younger than I expected to have gotten married. But we did it, and I loved it, and I would never have not done that. And we've been married over 10 years now. Pulled back from art department for the fertility journey. We had our own company. So I've done way too much by the time I'm like 28, no focus. I'd had 3 exhibitions of landscape paintings,
wow,
whatever,
not whatever. That's amazing.
Just kind of random, but I love the path that I've taken, but it is not linear, and it was not very well considered in that sense. And all of that time, my mum is there going, well, why haven't you gone to afters? I don't understand why you didn't just apply for afters when you finished school. And the answer at the time was, well, there's only a postgrad. So I had to go get an undergrad, get some experience. But that just took 15 years instead of 5. And in the meantime, they started a BA, and they, afters has a lot more there now. But and the big part that's probably worth mentioning that we hear a lot these days is that thing of imposter syndrome for women, and I just didn't think that I belonged there. I'm really honest. I was just too scared to apply for forever.
And we can stop on that for a moment, because firstly, I love the fact that you're so honest about a non-linear life, because that's what I'm looking down the barrel of now with Leroy, and I suppose mine was very non-linear too. It's just so anxiety provoking as a parent sometimes, just saying. So I've just managed that in myself. But yesterday I was at TEDx in Byron Bay, and Mandy Nolan, our Green Senator, was the MC comedian in between all the talks. And she said, and I hope I get the stats right, she said, do you realise that when women go to apply for a job as opposed to men see the requirements and they will apply if they have 65% of the credentials. Women will only ever apply if they have 100% of the credentials. And that gap between 65 and 100, is confidence. That's all it is.
I'll add to those stats, and I'm not exactly sure where I got them. Sort of, they may be more anecdotal, but I remember someone who should have known telling me this about afters, for example. Men will reapply up to 3 times after getting knocked back.
From afters?
Yep.
Yeah.
Women won't.
Wow.
Reapply on average. So it's the same thing. And so I think for me, this feminist discussion that I'm really interested in is it's just deep. It's not just as simple as make room for women. It's how do we allow the women to make room for themselves?
That's it. It's not just about making room for women. It's about how do we make room for ourselves. And I love that. I remember a She Births mum who's been really supportive of She Births and helped me out a lot. She's running one of the largest philanthropic funds in the Southern Hemisphere. And, she's like, diversity, joke. It's like a boys' club. There's her and all these blokes sitting around the boardroom, and they open up these positions for jobs. And she's like, no women applied. And then when we really hustled to get some women applied so we could have some balance just in the applications, the women didn't present themselves as being competent even when they got to the interview. It was really, really hard to engage them.
And I think that's definitely a part of the diversity discussion that needs to be had.
Yeah.
That there are big companies and their remit is we have to see diverse applications. We have to, be hiring diversely. And we're not, and the kind of backside of that story, the back end of that is, but we're not seeing the applications. And so we're just hamstringed. And so I'm not saying, and so they should just continue on hiring as in the same manner they have. It's again, because that's a quick to answer. Oh, well, there isn't anybody there, so that's why we shouldn't be hiring diversely. It's like, no. How do we encourage these women too?
That's right. They don't feel welcome, which comes back to you studying at AFTRS. Can you tell us the story about what happened when you started at AFTRS?
Absolutely. So classic Ruby, just changing and chopping and doing things erratically and not very well planned. I had my first baby, and within 3 months, I had a family member working at AFTRS, and they were talking at the open day, and I was like, oh, we've got to go support her. Like, I don't know why I thought that was a good excuse, but I felt like I had to get to AFTRS that day with my 3-month-old baby and my husband helping me, because you have to have support network to do this crazy juggle, and whoever they are, whether it's a partner or a family or anything. And I hustled us out the door and got to this open day, and then just kind of knew that was my calling and I was ready right now, because as I say very proudly, I had a baby and suddenly I felt like I could do anything. Like I was God. Like I just had power in me that I did not know I had.
I pushed a baby out my vagina. I can do anything.
Yeah. And I did. And you can't do anything without compromise and help. And I compromise. I think I love the word compromise, and I think we should use it more often. And I use it all the time, and to anybody who'll listen, which is that I had my incredible mother-in-law come and stay with us for a month while I wrote that application. It took a month.
Wow.
Of nursing my baby and writing this application to get it to a point where I could submit it. And I needed help. We didn't have finances. She lives in Canada and had the ability to come over and be with us. And so the compromise is, I had my mother-in-law living with me. And you mention it to anybody and they're like, oh God, I'd never do that. And you're kind of like, well, how are you going to do it then?
Yeah.
What do you want? Because that's how I could do it.
You can't employ a babysitter for a month.
No. And how lucky was I to have that ability to ask her to help me? And so I would just see myself as endlessly grateful and lucky that I could do that. So she came and helped. I applied for directing and producing, and I got in for both.
Wow.
Which is great. And just a kind of unnecessary but wonderful boost to my ego in terms of like, oh, yeah, you are worthy, Ruby, and you're an idiot that you didn't apply 10 years ago, in a sense. But you're not,
because, look, this is what it was meant to be about,
Yeah, it is the journey. I wasn't ready until you're ready. And so, yeah, I say that glibly, like, oh, you should have applied earlier. I actually don't genuinely feel that in my heart. I always feel like things just happen when they happen. We rarely look back and go, oh, we do wish we'd had kids at 27, but we didn't. So what are you going to say, And so got in, and then there's a period when Jill, my mother-in-law, goes back to Canada for a while, and then school starts in February, March. She comes back over, and the plan was for her to come and live with us for 2 years so that I could do this course.
Wow.
In our 2-bedroom apartment with no porch in Bondi, like tiny, living quarters.
How old was Scout?
So when we started, Scout was about 7 or 8 months old.
Holy majulies. Oh, my God.
Yeah, which I look at Lux now and I'm like, oh, and she's 6.5 months and I am not ready to be apart from her at all. I don't know. I was just on the craziest hormonal high after having that baby. And it was like this creative burst that I couldn't.
The creative awakening. I think it's, I see it a lot. And it is something that awakens in that sort of base and sacral chakras almost. It's a creativity that emerges alongside with defining and this new identity, and sometimes it just has to come through. You start a new business, you move to a new country, you just have to listen to those callings that are within the body that are driving you through. Yeah.
And so AFTRS, wonderful and champions of diversity and equality and all of that, and they let me in with this small baby. My application video had me jumping in slow-mo on one of those Sky Zone big trampolines, but naked except for my maternity underwear, like, the diaper, the adult diaper and maternity bra. And I don't think I explained to them why I was wearing only that. I can't remember.
Oh, my God, I love you. Can we see that footage one day? That's
yes.
funny.
And so like I was just like so like, and I still am. I'm just so porous for that information for like, yeah, if you need to wear an adult diaper after you give birth, that's what you do. Like, because pre having the baby, I got that bag of, half used diapers, and I was like, oh my gosh, disgusting. Oh, I don't know. But being me, very thrifty and as I am, I didn't throw them out. I just stuffed them to the back of the cupboard. And then after having the baby, I was like, Eli, go into my cupboard and bring me those diapers, And I wore them, and it was great. And I tell anybody who listened that I was wearing them, because I just wanted to break down stigmas about what it's like to have the baby. And for me, I bled for 7 weeks after having my first baby. And everybody's different, obviously. But so I started school. I was pumping with one of those, cabled pumps alone in the toilet by myself.
Don't tell me you were in the toilet pumping.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They eventually gave me a little room, but it was on the top floor. And the thing is, when you're running from class to class, or you have a 10-minute break, you can't run for 7 of them to get to the room that you need to get to. You have to just do it where you can, So I did. And I missed all of the networking with my colleagues and all of that stuff. You miss a lot, but I was still there, and that was great. And then COVID happened, which was obviously shit on so many levels, but fantastic one was I could just turn my camera off and breastfeed whenever she needed breastfeeding. So we were able to maintain breastfeeding really closely until she self-weaned too. So that was amazing. And so that was my journey for getting into afters and my birthing.
Did you think about like inclusion and diversity, I suppose? Did you question the way afters was set up?
Yes, I did. I did, in so much as when I first started, I was like, oh, there's no creche. That's weird. And they want diversity. So what's going on there? And they, Fox Studios, which is where Afters is located, has lots of people working there. I actually still can't kind of work out why there isn't some kind of...
There isn't a creche there at all. There's nothing there.
On what is a professional lot, and has afters and offices and all of these people around there who probably would use it. And so I went into afters a bit bolshy and kind of going, oh, I'm going to campaign for them to get a daycare. This is ridiculous. And then very quickly, in my small circle of people who were just like, you should just focus on studying. Don't worry about that. Just do your thing. I was like, oh, yeah, let's do that. And then, of course, the irony, I think, of that is that I ended up making a film about being a mum and talking very, very loudly about these problems of motherhood in the industry. It's kind of so much bigger than even just looking for one creche. I wanted to have that discussion with anybody who will listen about how do we change. Change.
I mean, that's part of the reason, again, why women aren't applying or don't feel confident enough to apply, is because we don't feel welcome. And if you had some creches there would be a symbol even. It's a symbol of like, you can come, you're welcome here. And they're called these the forgotten women, the women that are highly intelligent, highly skilled, but are choosing to have time with their children at home. They're like a forgotten sort of genre, a grouping of women, right? It's shit.
It's shit. And, I'm not like, I believe the world is a tough place. I don't even think that everybody can feel welcome anywhere. I think places that are unwelcoming, and that is part of life. And, I suppose I have a bit of a tough love about a lot of stuff. But I'm just like, that's why they're not even applying.
That's right.
Because practically they can't do it.
That's right.
It's just practical. So so same thing, just different wording. I'm just kind of like, just practically, guys, we just have to make it work, even if work is tough and unwelcoming for a whole lot of other reasons. But it's impossible, and has become something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah,
is how we do it.
how we do it. So it's not just about on screen, but it's behind the screen. And so I think from my experience in film, it was a very kind of power over structure. A lot of the time it was quite misogynistic a lot of the time, which we can see now obviously in Hollywood. That's playing out big time still, the whole Me Too movement that broke free through that industry. But yeah, I found it very sort of paternalistic, and very much a structure of power over, not power with. Sometimes you could get that magic feeling on set of everyone working together, but still to be able to climb the ladder, there was a lot of like, I don't know, impressing to be done. There was a lot of sycophantic kind of actions that had to happen. As a girl, I remember, because I was young, like little snide remarks about, my femininity or sexuality even coming through. I don't think it's an easy place for women in the film industry, but that's just my small experience. Because what's your experience? What's the stats there as well?
Yeah, I've had my fair share of sexist comments on set and all of that goes with it. It's nasty. I think that's just about people learning to be better people and how they treat people. I think for me, it is interesting to break down the kind of word power as well, though, because I do believe in a structured film set. I do believe we need a hierarchical film set. And I think that for me, I'm not as in favour of confusing the two issues. And one is how a film set is structured and that we are moving at speed. There is a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of safety, physical safety that needs to be taken into account of. There's just 1,000 moving parts. So you do have to have a hierarchy, and I don't have a problem with that. But that is very different to treating people badly.
Yeah. See, hierarchy is not this, with that hierarchy in that sense I always said to Leroy, go and work in film, because when you see the power of people doing their job really, really well and everyone is this organism working together, that's it. Like, it's because of that structure of roles and responsibilities, that really well-defined roles and responsibilities, and respecting each other's roles and responsibilities when it comes to the actual work. It's just the culture offset that I feel is a bit sort of icky, has been a bit icky.
Yeah. And it is. And that's why, you wonder why I didn't feel like I could apply for AFTRS until I did. In my entire time working in art and costume departments, I probably worked with less than a handful of female directors. So I genuinely didn't see myself in that role of director. And I had my fair share of icky experiences of people just like, not even on a sexual harassment level, but just kind of people I didn't like working with, taking credit or doing things when you just kind of go, you could have just said thanks actually for me saving your ass just then or whatever. So a big part for me in terms of like, separate to all of the female discussion, was just learning, making sure that in my learning while I was at AFTRS and every set that I step onto, I am honing the director and leader that I want to be, which is clear and firm and strong, but also welcoming, very open to ideas, collaboration, and kindness. So it's about harnessing the two sides of me. That was a really big focus for me.
I think that sounds beautiful. It sounds so balanced. And again, the mainstream reduces so much of this conversation to a point where, we lose ourselves and it doesn't make sense. But I think it's only in talking about these subtleties and the nuance and the practicalities of how it all works that we start to really feel and find ourselves. Like, I'm sure there's people listening that work in very different worlds. Not everyone works in film, but can understand, it's what power really means and roles, and also culture and kindness, how critical being a better human. Like, it's so important that we bring all of ourselves to our work. That's what people want to do. We don't want to feel it as this is the era now of resignation, isn't it? Like, everyone's leaving their job. They don't feel met, felt, seen, heard. They don't feel purpose in what they're doing. They're looking for that. There's a massive shift going on, massive shift going on.
It's amazing. Yeah, I heard about quiet resignation or something the other day, where people just like quietly like pulling away from what they're doing because they're not. I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's so exciting. So yeah, I always, film is so hard and it's not brain surgery, so it has to be fun. We have to enjoy what we're doing.
We have to enjoy what we're doing. And we have to feel safe, and we have to, and the world is so much better when there's inclusion and diversity and celebration. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are your goals now with MumLife and for yourself? What's your plan, your vision for it all?
Well, I mean, it's worth saying, because I don't think we have said it yet, and it's, I'm pretty proud of it, but we did take MumLife to Cannes this year.
Yes, oh my God, I forgot to say that. Oh my God, huge. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm like, I like to joke. Like, I had my dad over for dinner last night and making tea at the end of the night, and I was like, oh, Dad, would you like a peppermint tea out of this mug that I got at Cannes? I don't know if you know, but I took my film to Cannes this year.
It's so awesome.
Laugh. I will brag that Kate Winslet hugged me several times because she loved my film so much.
No, oh, that's so cool.
So that was incredible, but also a moment. And, that's kind of the biggest thing that film could do, and now we're going to hopefully see it enjoy a nice festival run. So for anybody listening, you can't watch it publicly at the moment. Yeah, so hopefully it'll do a nice festival run. It won't be available to watch just yet. In a few years.
Are you guys distributing yourselves, or you've got someone doing that for you?
Yeah, the school is distributing it after
does it. Amazing.
After having said that it wasn't quite good enough to distribute, and then it got into Cannes, and they very quickly took that back. And are distributing it now.
Right.
It's a challenging watch, I think, for people who are expecting an emotional, dark reflection on postnatal anxiety, or just your general festival-going film is pretty dark, and people love those kind of films, and it's just not. So I am definitely trying to fashion myself as a populist filmmaker in that sense. Like, I would love to be the female Baz that we don't have. I want to make films that people turn up to in droves, that are bright and colourful and loud, but also make you feel something. So, because if we've got this message about women, I mean, I'm in there with, give them popcorn and make them laugh to change their minds. I don't want to make broccoli films that have to make people think and reflect on the difficulty of having a baby and all of that. I actually just want to make it fun and accessible and deep and meaningful, in kind of equal and
I get
it. So that's kind of my aim for my career. Is I want to keep writing mother films. I didn't think I was going to. At first I was like, no, I'm not going to get pigeonholed. But what are the two projects I'm working on at the moment? It's a horror about a woman, a mother, and an action film about a mother.
No way.
I'm going to have all these hero figurines of different mothers, doing different things. So
that's so amazing. I'm so excited for your career. You heard it first on the She Births show. Just saying. And my sister-in-law is actually writing a musical at the moment.
Amazing.
She's from New York, and she's writing as a podcast. So I think that's as much as I'm allowed to say, but obviously it's a female protagonist. But I feel like you guys should talk.
That's awesome. I would love to. But yeah, so big dreams. But the next thing that I again have fallen into, I came back from Cannes and started talking to people in the industry, and just kind of went, I'm going to keep talking about this, actually. And I had initially I designed my we call it an exegesis at Afters, but no one really knows. That just sounds a bit funny.
What is that?
Call it a thesis. I'll just call it a thesis for the sake of it. But the thesis that I wrote, which was motherhood in front and behind the screen, it felt like we had to look at both sides. And I felt like MumLife was such a great vehicle to look at both sides, because it was a mother on screen.
Yeah.
And we had 4 mothers with children under 2 years old in HOD roles, so heads of department roles. So that was huge, and we didn't mean to do that, and it was like totally wild. And I learned firsthand what it means to include children in that sense. And again, I'm not like airy-fairy about these things. I never bring Scout to a meeting because I have to come with my full me. You know, film is serious. We do have to give it our full in those moments, but it's about what setup do I have behind, what support can I give those women, and if those women whose film it isn't can turn up with their baby, and they can, you know, I was making a film about the fact that I had too much anxiety to focus on talking to you and dealing with my baby at the same time. So I wasn't going to very well turn up with her to a meeting because that wasn't me. But if somebody else could, how can I facilitate that? And for me, that looks like work culture that is not, hey, do you want to go for a cigarette break because you smoke every hour or so? It's, hey, your baby's here. I think you just need 5 minutes. She's looking a little bit tired. You actually just need to go and just go and spend time looking at her in the face.
Yeah, give her some attention. Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, bring your baby or something. And you go, no, because you don't know how to deal with me and I need to go deal with her. I need 5 minutes. Yeah. They start making too much noise and they need attention, and we can't just ignore them but say they can be in the room. So it's so holistic how to like actually incorporate women and babies. But for me, it's more about the support systems so that people can do the work if and when they want to show up. Yeah. Not, and I don't mean if and when, like if you're on job, you turn up. If you don't turn up, like that's terrible. But like to actually turn up to be on that film. So I wrote my exegesis to be a series of Instagram posts, which the school almost had a meltdown about. They were like, you can't do that. That's not, you can't have an academic argument over Instagram. And I was like, well, maybe not. But I'm saving myself a lot of work by crushing through all that work rather than just writing an essay last year. And then this year, knowing that I was going to be having a baby and not having time to then convert that into an Instagram post, what I had created for myself was 70 plus Instagram posts that deal with these issues and take people through an argument. And I was shit scared when I actually started posting it because I thought, I don't know if it'll work. Will people be able to hold their attention? Will they be able to remember what I'm talking about? And I tried to break it down into such bite-sized pieces. I want them to be shareable. So when you go on my Instagram, which is now @_allruby_, that's the one where I'm releasing this, meaning all Ruby, because I'll give you all of me on this Instagram. I don't hold much back. I want people to share, oh, look, there's that tile. Which screen mother are you? Good, bad, silly, heroic, and then actually in the caption, it explains what I mean by that. Right. Who that author was, who authored that quote and stuff like that. So it is designed to be shareable, bite-sized things about mothers in the film industry. Right. And take us through source reviews, which look at, what films have mothers in them, or what are people doing in the industry. So there's Gender Matters and all these other things that are going on in the film industry but need a lot of support. And I designed that. The school had many, many conniptions. I didn't get a great mark because I think the format kind of confused them a bit, and I didn't write it as an academic argument. I wrote it for Instagram. I wrote it because my key audience are mums and young mums who are trying to decide whether to go back into the industry or not, or people who haven't had children yet. And I'm browsing Instagram and suddenly I feel supported because I'm looking at somebody, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm breastfeeding and I'm reading about this thing that actually speaks to me. So it was really important to me that I got this content onto Instagram.
Yeah, because you're reaching, you're stretching and finding that balance, that compromise to actually be able to touch and change lives and change culture, which changes industry and how we feel in our jobs and what we see as possible for our lives. Like, that's what we do. That's why we do the work we do. Good on you.
And so then, I got back from Cannes and I met a woman called Leonie Mansfield who runs Screen Vixens, which is a female group for producers in Australia. And she just gave me that support that I needed and was like, let's do it together. Like, I'll produce it for you. Let's go. And so we're doing a podcast called Mums in Film. And I've realized that actually there's so many beautiful stories, and almost like Australian birth stories. Like, I want it to be this rolling thing where you're not looking for earth-shattering different thing every week. You're getting, like, in Australian birth stories, I'm sure your listeners listen to that, but it's like you're just getting, it's the same format. Someone is pregnant and they're going to have a baby. I know the climax at the end of this story is going to be something about birth.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it'll be the same. It's like interviewing women about their experience, and a lot of them may be similar and have, but they're all important. I want to interview the women who dropped out for 18 years. I had someone say, I don't think my story is interesting. I'm like, that is the story. Everybody's story is important, and that is important. So I'm just starting. I've done a bunch of recordings for that, and that's going to be something we pump out next year. And I hope to just involve myself with organisations like Le Ballon Rouge, which are trying to encourage childcare at film festivals, those kind of things. That's the kind of area I want to be putting my extracurricular film head into, and then telling stories that change the landscape for us.
Sounds beautiful. I can't wait to watch it all unfold. This season, we're focusing on the rise of the feminine and rebel mums and what would the world look like. We haven't even had time to do your birth stories, to share your birth stories. But did you feel the feminine rising, this feminine energy, this feminine power rising within you, do you feel, during pregnancy or through birth? I mean, you already talked about, I felt like because I did birth the way I did or had that experience, I could do anything. What does feminine rising mean for you personally?
It depends on how you engage with that discussion about feminine and masculine, and that if we take it away from male and female.
Totally away from male and female. Yeah.
It's interesting because actually what rose up in me after I had my first baby was masculinity.
Beautiful.
I would say. And I'm not ashamed of that. That's beautiful. Yeah. And I found a confidence in myself that I think we, rightly or wrongly, associate with masculinity. I don't have a problem with that if we kind of love these two images. And I found that in myself. And it wasn't until I had my second baby that I probably have discovered my maternal instincts, really. You would never say that I wasn't maternal to Scout in that sense, but on a deep level, I was so scared as well as happy and overjoyed and in love and all of these incredible things. But there was an undercurrent as well that was in there. So that's just going back to that discussion that we're having of it's not just one block emotion, thousands of emotions, but that I didn't know how to. And I did, and I sang to her and stuff, but I was kind of just felt out of my depth, and I didn't really know how to. And my mother-in-law, who had 4 kids, would kind of chatter away to this baby, and I just didn't know how to do that. And now, with her as my muse and the other mothers that I've engaged with, I now feel totally comfortable being like, oh, hello, Lux, oh, blah, 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 and kind of getting right in there in a way that I didn't after I had Scout.
I love that. Yeah, look, if people listen to the previous podcast I did a few weeks ago with Jessie Chapnick-Carm, we talk about how is the feminine rising, healing and rising, the masculine does too. Actually can't have one without the other. It is like we say in She Births, there's the yang is inside that yin. So it's through that yin, through that surrender of birth, that we find this really deep core strength. So I would say absolutely, it makes so much sense. And we weave and dance and undulate, and our relationships are kind of weaving and undulating and dancing with each other as well, the masculine and feminine kind of expressions and polarities. And we need both to be healed and whole on the planet right now. So what would the feminine rising or feminine power restored look like for you in the world? What would it be?
It's acknowledging that motherhood is beautiful. And again, that's a loaded comment, I think, because and you touched on it earlier, and again, everything we've touched on, I'd love to talk to you for hours about all of it. But it is this this cultural like story that we want to tell, which is that you lose your identity when you become a mother. It's the hardest and the worst thing, and you can't do anything. And now, what about this career that I built up? That is very real. You now have barriers to your career because the career is not going to like include the motherhood. It doesn't have creches. It doesn't have these things that we should just fucking set up. You know, like just do it already, and then we can live. And the big thing that I talk about with anybody who'll listen is that you can't have it all the time, and that you do want to be a mother. And I think that that's the bit of the narrative that I don't hear, is that it's beautiful to be a mother.
Yeah,
okay to stop for a minute and be as long as you want and be that mother. And we are so busy trying to be equal as women with the capitalist world that is pushing ahead no matter what, that we at the absolute like detriment of family and like honoring the mother and that space, we make fun of and deride women who want to keep house.
Yeah.
And I am sorry, but it is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And I'm sorry, I'm not sorry about it. I'm sorry, but shut up. You're gonna fucking rag on me for that, you know? I'm not a great symbol of that because I have chosen to keep working. I don't get paid yet, but so I still don't count in the capitalist society in that sense because I'm also an artist. So I just got a lot of things I'm fighting for on all fronts. But basically, I'm not a great symbol of that. But I know that I will defend to the death anybody who chooses to be a housewife, you know, a full-time mum, whatever those horrible terms are.
Well, that term of just a mum. I'm just a
mum, yeah.
And it's like the toughest job in the world.
Yes, and it's the best. And so I meditate on it regularly when I am putting the kids in the car and they're screaming and kicking me and I want to throw them, you know, out of the car and drive away sometimes for a second, but it doesn't last. I don't go, I can't believe I did this and it's ruined my life. It's like, no, this is a really short period that they're going to be this little. And in 5 minutes, we're all going to repair and hold hands and I'll hear her beautiful little voice and it's the most beautiful thing. So it's this, the feminine rising is, for me, is like living in a space that allows contradictions, that allows compromise, that allows us to be anything we want to be, that doesn't just equal these days being a career woman and having all my kids in daycare. That isn't actually having it all for me.
Yeah.
One of the wonderful things that I got from talking to Teresa Palmer when I interviewed her earlier in the year was this sense that, and yes, she has a lot of like caveats. She is the lead actor on all films, and so she can demand a lot of things. That's just true. Anybody, and she's really aware of that. You know, anybody coming on for a day as an actor can't request the things she can. But I'm like, gosh, we at least have to start somewhere. So, you know, she can have her kids on set being taken care of by a nanny and all of these things. But what I got from her was just a really great twist that I think anybody can think about. And even if we can't all like put it into place right away, which is like just shifting the narrative. I feel like the narrative is so often we hire the babysitter so that we can go do the shopping or do the cleaning or something like that. Like it's like, or do the accounts. It's like outsource anything you can so that you protect that time with your kids as the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And then she, you know, yes, she works in the unstable world of the film industry, but she takes a few jobs and then she takes a break to be fully with the kids. And again, there's a lot of privilege around having that extra bit of money to do that. Not everybody can do that, but I do think it works to just at least employ that thinking to how you structure your day, where you put your priorities, you know. So I don't have money, but I'm still thinking about that.
Yeah. And I think the film, coming back to your film, I think that's what landed for me at the end, and I don't want to tell the story or anything like that. She comes back to her priority.
Yeah.
And the priority is love, is connection. And that is the absolute opposite of culture and the patriarchy, which is about success and consumerism and profit, and it forgets about care and connection and relationships. And that is why motherhood is so important to be valued, because that is what it is about. It is about care and relationships and that human aspect of living, not about profit and growth, which has got us into so many problems.
And for my money, just for the sake of it, because I am now talking publicly about these things, I will just say that I think for me, I'd replace the word patriarchy with capitalism. Because I look at my husband and he wants to be a dad and live in that caring parental space just as much as me. It's not men that are always the wrong thing.
No.
It's a system that people come in and out of. And that's why I think the feminine and masculine in that sense, and I think that on the bigger global sense, should be discussed in terms of economic growth versus like protecting the home space.
Happiness.
And happiness and family and love. It's that way that I think, rather than men as bad and things like that, and patriarchy, because I find I have, and I'm very lucky, I have a husband who wants to be a full-time dad if he could, but we don't have the resources for that. So yeah, that's just a political thing that I'll just put out there, I think, for me.
Got it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, and having your little cockatoo in the background has been such a beautiful reminder of the MumLife juggle and all that you do. And thanks for your non-linear creative life, because it awakens everybody through the expression of art. It touches our hearts and our minds, and it does change the world. It really, really does. So thank you, my darling, for sharing.
Thank you, Nadine. I just feel so honoured to be part of this. When you asked me, I was like, yes, please. I'm so excited.
We didn't even get to do the births. Your births were pretty friggin' amazing, weren't they?
They were incredible. They are amazing. I'm up for talking birth any day. So yeah.
Come back on. Maybe we'll have to make a film together or something.
That sounds
perfect. A doco series I got to talk to you about. We'll talk about it later.
I love it, Nadine. My people will talk to your people.
Sounds good. All right,
my love. Everyone. Bye.
Have a beautiful day with the babies.
I will. See ya.
I'm Nadine Richardson, and you've been listening to the She Births Show. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. We'd love to know what you would like to hear more of. You can find me and my team of amazing doulas and educators at shebirths.com and our awesome community on Instagram and Facebook. Within any good app store, you can download our free pregnancy guide via She Births, 2 separate words and plural, as well as access our range of online courses. Remember, when it comes to having a better birth, an easier transition into parenthood, your education is your empowerment. Don't forget to check out the catalogue of previous podcasts, and thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the show.